Candace Owens couldn't help but harass Lizzo by throwing in her 2 cents. She went to Twitter to vehemently voice her disapproval, and I feel like this is a good discussion for debate here. But if you peep comments on any of Lizzo's fat acceptance photos, you'll undoubtedly find a score of bad shit insane women telling her that she looks beautiful. Men do not lie to other men in this way. They do not pretend that that clinical obesity is beauty. I'm not roasting Flacco for his weight every day, and I'm not gonna tell you you're ugly.
But
You know,
can you click on that one right there so we can see the original tweet that was being responded to? Okay, Gina Bontempo said obesity is on the rise, and yet women are told by celebrities in the media that being obese is normal and healthy. You never see them try this with men. Only women are insecure enough to fall for it. And then scroll up. Only women could be emotionally manipulated into supporting their own eradication via support for trans men. Only women could be fooled into supporting a death cult of fat acceptance. Today's cultural battle proves that women are more irrational and emotional than men. Wow, Candace, you know, every once in a while she's got a decent point. Because
he goes crazy though, right? Calling it a death cult. It could be considered appropriate, but it's a little extreme.
But
too.
that is kind of like the end result of just like telling people who are suffering from a condition that is going to kill them that they're fine and that everything is okay. I mean, it's like you have to find some sort of common ground where you can say, hey, it's okay for you to be fat. You are not less of a person because you're fat. Like, well, I'm trying not to look at you as I have this conversation. I'm trying to just kind of look over here. But then also, hey, here are some resources so you can maybe lose some weight. Here are some suggestions so that you can get in better shape. Like you're not when I was 285 pounds, nobody would have been doing me a favor when they fucking if they had told me like you're totally fine. At 205 right now, like I look at being 285 like, what the fuck was I thinking? And thank God I had people like my mom and my girlfriend at the time to make fun of me for being fat so that I would have to start eating rotisserie chickens every day. Huh?
And how long ago were you like 285?
I was like 22.
Oh,
pretty young. Yeah.
And it's like it's true. It's like, dude, gluttony is like one of the
7 deadly sins, right?
It's like one of the 7 deadly sins, and it's like called that for a reason because guess what? It's bad for you. Just like smoking too much, drinking too much, or being like overindulging in anything is bad. Same thing with food and shit like that. And yes, there's the argument over genetics that some people are like more predisposed to gaining more weight in certain places or quicker than other people. But at the end of the day, it's like you still have control over like what you eat, and then also just pushing this just acceptance over like, hey, I'm fat. You should just be happy being fat. It's like, yeah, you should be happy being yourself, but you should also strive to wanna possibly live as long as possible, live as healthy as possible, go on amusement park rides without being excluded out, shit like that. It's like
without having to cop a whole row on the airplane.
Exactly.
Or 2 seats on the plane.
Have you ever had to do that?
No, not yet.
Oh, Jesus.
Not yet.
I haven't gotten there yet. Listen, like she's right though. Now I feel like, and what she's saying is a perfect it's like, for example, I think it was Joe Rogan and who probably said like, and he knows, I think Lizzo's like personal trainer, right? And she said like whenever she loses weight, there's like a barrage of like mean comments telling her, you feel me? Like, like
you switched up.
Yeah, right.
Adele went through that. Remember,
Yeah,
she lost all that weight and people got mad at her.
If Lizzo lost 100 pounds, her comment section would be so much nicer on average. Like if she's really like basing what she wants to do with her body on the comment section, if she lost 100 pounds, every guy would be talking about her like, oh man, she actually don't look. I mean, granted, it would be this obnoxious fucking conversation about if she's hot or not, but it would still be a conversation. But I mean, even like, all right, think about it. Women really have this obsession with being nice that doesn't really translate to the average man, and you have all kinds of like weird side effects. Like if it wasn't for men, women's sports would be permanently destroyed already. It takes men to vote against this kind of thing because you see shit like with Leah Thomas where her entire fucking swim team didn't say shit about the fact that this was so unfair that this trans person was on their team, but then meanwhile it's like they privately wrote a letter against her, and like people talk all kinds of shit about all these 80-year-old senators and shit, but these are the guys who are passing the fucking bills so that their children don't have to compete against biological males in sports. I fully support shit. Like I know we were just talking about the Chris from Mr. Beast thing the other day, but I support an individual making the choice to transition.
As
I
an
don't
adult.
support women's sports being absolutely obliterated and destroyed because women are too obsessed with being nice to actually have a fucking backbone in this sort of situation, right?
And it's so funny that you bring that up because it is true where like I feel like women are like predisposed to trying to be nicer and they like to virtue signal more than probably a guy does. But if you ask women who their biggest bullies are, it's other women. They're their harshest people to other women. They will attack them, you know, like relentlessly. They don't give a fuck. But then also on a public platform like Instagram, they're a virtue signaler that loves everyone and treats everyone equally. You know what I mean? But behind closed doors, if they have a girl that they don't like, you're a whore, you're a slut, you're fat.
Yuri, I remember one time you were telling your girl that you wanted her to watch some trans exposing documentary or whatever, and her reaction was just like, no, I don't want to watch it. I don't think that she's like allergic to being educated. I just think that probably she assumed that the tone of this documentary was going to be kind of mean. Right. And if you really like break down almost everything with women, it's like that desire to not be mean, to not be a dick, to not rock the boat is very fucking strong, you know? Whereas like with us, like we kind of like run to the chaos a bit more and are like happy to have conversations about that type of shit, right?
Yeah, or willing to be a little bit more stubborn. But like it's like Candace Owens, like you're saying, yeah, she does have like a point here, but she likes being maybe she has to be this extreme with her fucking views, but like yeah, she's being like super extreme here. But at what point is like acceptance and you know welcoming other people gone too far where you're like, bro, like now you just people have like negative life attributes that they're you know that doesn't help them in any way. You're like, oh, good job, keep going. It's like at what point do you say, hey, I love you, but you gotta slow it down on the hot dogs, you know, or some shit.
What if
like
Lizzo died tomorrow? What if she had a heart attack tomorrow?
Bro,
what would that do to the fat acceptance movement? I feel like it would probably be over right then and there. Because every time anyone said anything about like fat positivity, they'd be like, "Oh, she's gonna die just like Lizzo."
Like, cause like Tess Holiday is like she's like a Twinkie away from like death, right?
But she's not as famous as Lizzo. But you're right. I, honestly, if she died tomorrow, or if she died at like 40 or whatever, like early age, they probably would be having that fucking conversation, right?
Yeah, listen, right. So like the question is this though. So like what's the responsibility of strangers? Like for example, I think Candace Owens, like she's either just wants to be like the contrarian or she just cares about like right. It's like she is like she cares too much about it, right? Like for example, like why does she care about like Lizzo's weight?
I feel like it's because of the culture that we live in right now that's been it's been like boiling up to this point ever since like 2016. I feel like maybe even before, where the culture has created extremists on both ends. You know what I mean? Like, and she's just the product of seeing so much stupid, ridiculous woke bullshit that she's like, someone has to put their foot down and say something. And sometimes I feel like
five back to back tweets is kind of like, for example, right? Like I can have an opinion on something, but I don't care enough to, you know, to tweet 5 times back to back and tag her. And you know,
sometimes
you know, like why?
You'll tweet 5 times back to back about anything. like I mean, Candace Owens, whatever I was just talking about with that niceness thing, Candace Owens clearly like missed that somehow. That's not encoded into her DNA. But yo, I feel like Josh got the niceys. He's got a case of the niceys. Josh doesn't like being mean to obese people. Josh, like, what are your thoughts on fat positivity?
Josh though is also obese though. So.
We talked about this last time. Josh defends anything that's progressive. And
I don't defend anything that's progressive, but I
feel compassion for her, for sure.
Who?
For Lizzo?
Except to the extent that she's kind of like promoting this lifestyle, right?
And
there's a lot of people equating healthiness to feeling comfortable in your own skin, right? There's definitely a level of, yes, you're going to die if you don't change something.
Yeah.
But this whole beauty thing, it's like, I don't know. That's a whole message that people have always been trying to push. That's not new. The beauty comes within. It's not.
Yeah.
Think about it. I seen Yuri go on a trip, and he was greeted when he got home with like a 6-pack of Dr. Pepper and another 6-pack of Rock Stars and Cadbury eggs and Skittles and every fucking sweet possible.
My favorite snacks.
Yes, it's very sweet that she knows you so well. But not to bring her up twice, but just like the fact that like whatever you have done to your body by consuming this much sugar throughout your life is invisible to us because of your metabolism and the fact that you're not fat. But you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we went to the doctor and they said like, you have some kind of condition that is comparable to morbid obesity in terms of danger. We just can't see it because it's not manifesting itself in such ways. I know some people who have diabetes and shit. You wouldn't look at them and think that they were super sick, but they are in a bad
and
place.
stuff like that. Yeah. Okay, you have a good point there, but here's the thing where I and also like sometimes the chat can see me, you know, drinking a Rockstar, taking shots on stream or whatever it is, and they just think that's my whole life off camera as well, right? And when Riley gets me a whole gift basket of my favorite snacks and chips and all that stuff, I'm assuming, you know, a person in Lizzo's shoes is gonna consume that all in one sitting. I'm gonna like, that's gonna be my snacks for a week. You know what I mean? Like type
That's
shit.
fair, yeah.
And then also not only that, but I go out of my way to drink, you know, as much water as possible. And then also like the idea of consuming too much sugar is always playing in my head. Every time I drink like a Dr. Pepper or whatever it is, I'm like, yo, that was already 62 grams of sugar. I'm not, you know, rest of the day is probably waters only. Or
Some
if
people count calories, you just count grams of
Yeah.
sugar.
I count sugar.
Or,